Hello and welcome to the Wake Up Call Talk Show. I'm Annie Sally. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Mental illness can affect anyone, regardless of their circumstances, age, occupation, race, or gender. Someone in good mental health is able to regulate their emotions. They react in a proportionate way to life's ups and downs. They can form relationships with others. They can handle change. They're not always in a good mood, but they can cope with an express range of emotion. Someone with mental illness becomes less able to function in multiple areas of their life. Mental illness may cause an individual to see the world in a very different way. They may show erratic behavior or start to question the motives of others. Today, my special guest is Dr. Chasity Adams. She's a psychologist and the author of Reclaiming Your Best Self. Go ahead, share the show with your family and friends. Let them know the Wake Up Call Talk Show is on. Let's go into our show.
It's time for your wake-up call. Wake up the passion and God's purpose in you. In the Wake Up Call radio show, join host Pastor Warren and Annie Sally and their guests for a powerful dialogue. Real talk for everyone. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
And we are back. Welcome to the Wake Up Call Talk Show. This month is Mental Health Awareness. Our special guest is Dr. Chasity. Welcome, Dr. Chasity.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, it's an honor. And I'm super excited about the Mental Health Toolkit. So let's go into, before we go there, let's talk about what inspired you to do what you're doing. What inspired you?
People inspire me. People inspired me historically, and people continue to inspire me today. I am in awe by the resilience of people. I've seen so many people go through hard times, and I've seen them overcome it. So I've been inspired by resilience, and those particular tools that people who are resilient have, I want to share them with the world. So I'm inspired by the resilience of our people.
Wonderful. Well, I'm inspired by you as well. So let's go ahead and share the toolkit.
Awesome. Vitamins, exercise, and attending doctor visits. However, when it comes to our mental health, it often takes the back seat. I want to talk to us about the importance of prioritizing our mental health the same way we prioritize our physical health. We all have mental health the same way we all have physical health. So it's important for us to check in on our mental health the same way that we do with our physical health. The same way when we take precautions to not gain weight, let's take those precautions to not experience a severe mental health crisis. Today, we're going to focus on preventative mental health coping skills. And what we're going to do is create a mental health toolkit. I'm going to list 5 key ingredients to any mental health toolkit. Of course, these 5 key tools are not exhaustive, but I think it's important for them to be included in your particular toolkit. So the 5 that we are going to explore are on this board. I don't think you can see but 3, but I will highlight them, and then we're going to talk about each one. A breathing exercise is going to be important to be included, a mantra or an affirmation, a routine, superfoods, and connection with people, values, and purpose. Those are the 5 tools that we are going to explore today. So let's start by discussing breathing exercises. If you can breathe, then you know you are alive. And that is something for which to be grateful. If you can breathe, you have the opportunity to make today better, make today great, or do things differently. So breathing is the most underestimated coping skill that we all have. We take our breathing for granted because it's something that we all do. We just don't think about it. If you think about that, what I just said, when we receive things automatically that we don't have to work for and we don't have to think about, what do we often do? Sadly, we take it for granted. So we also take our breathing for granted. So today I'm going to talk to us about being intentional and conscious about our breathing. It is a gift that we have that can ground, center, and anchor us when we need it most. I want us to remember the words ground, center, anchor, and connect. Breathing can help ground, center, anchor, and connect us. And there are a few breathing exercises that I'm going to share with you today. One of my favorites is diaphragmatic breathing. It's often called abdominal breathing or belly breathing. It is the easiest form of breathing that we can do. I don't think you can see below here. However, I usually, when I'm teaching this to clients, I take my hand, I put my thumb at the base of my belly button and I open my hand. So I'm putting my hand over my abdomen and my diaphragm. And the reason I'm doing this is because it's going to let me know I'm doing this particular exercise correctly. So the way that we engage in diaphragmatic breathing, belly breathing, or abdominal breathing is you breathe in, and when you breathe in, your belly should rise. I know that can be challenging for some people because you don't want to see or feel your belly rise. However, it lets us know we're doing it correctly. So I'm going to sit back. I'm going to put my hand over my belly with my thumb right below my navel, and I'm going to breathe in. And as I breathe in, my belly is going to rise. When I breathe out slowly, my belly will go back down. So if you're at home, this is noon. So if you're able to take a noonday break, I hope you're able to do this with me. Let's try it. Because if you're busy working and you get a break, this is great to anchor, ground, center you, and help you connect to yourself, others, and the world. So let's just take a few seconds and try this out. So when we breathe in, our belly is going to rise. And when we slowly exhale, our belly is going to go back to the normal size. Let's try it. Let's breathe in. And let's exhale. Let's breathe in. Let's exhale. So I'm not going to walk you through it 6 times, but if you can do that 6 times throughout the day, it will help you feel refreshed. It's hard to see you guys in the audience, but I do want to ask, if you do try that 6 times, let me know how you feel afterwards. Some people actually feel a little uneasy and shaky because you're not used to breathing in a slow manner. Many of us breathe in a rapid, shallow manner, which can cause anxiety and panic disorders. So we want to retrain you to slow down your breathing. And when you do that, it may feel unfamiliar, and that's okay because babies breathe like this. And so sometimes it's helpful to take it back to infantile because when we learn too much in the world, we forget about the basics, and diaphragmatic breathing is basic. It's basic to our survival, and it's very important. So another type of breathing that I would like to explore with you is mindful breathing. The way that we engage in mindful breathing is to focus on the actual inhale and exhale. So when you're breathing in, you can say, breathing in, 1, 2, breathing out, 1, 2. So you're focusing on something. When you're trying to focus on something in mindful breathing, your mind is going to entice you. It's going to entice you to worry about something in the future, anticipatory anxiety, or it's going to entice you to ruminate on something that has happened in the past. The importance of mindful breathing is to not judge yourself when your mind/brain does what it has evolved to do. We just ask that you gently bring your attention back to the inhale and the exhale. The breathing in 2, 3, 4, exhale 2, 3, 4. It doesn't matter what theme you use or what count you use, as long as you're focusing on your breath and not getting caught up in where your mind is trying to entice you to go, because it will. And if you think I'm doing something wrong because my brain is enticing me, that is incorrect. That actually means you're doing it right when your brain is enticing you to go either in the future, which has not come to pass and which might not come to pass, or in the past, which has already occurred and there is absolutely nothing that we can do about it. Mindful breathing encourages us to be right here, right now, in the present moment. Another breathing exercise I'd like to share with you. It is by one of my favorite authors. His name is Thich Nhat Hanh. He described this particular exercise in his book, Peace is Every Step. It is very simple. I actually utilize it often. It's called the Breathe and Smile exercise. I've talked about this before because it's so easy. It's breathing in, I relax my body. Breathing out, I smile. It's that simple. I love to smile, so I don't take it for granted that it might not be that easy for other people. So if it's not that easy for you because of whatever reason, you don't have to smile externally. You can smile internally. And now that we've become so accustomed to our masks, you can smile with your eyes. So I'm going to smile with my eyes. I'm going to cover my mouth and I'm going to smile with my eyes. I'm going to inhale. And when I inhale, I'm going to breathe in. I relax my body. Breathing out, I'm going to smile. I hope you see it in my eyes. I hope you could see that I smiled with my eyes. So if for whatever reason you're uncomfortable with the full smile, that's not an excuse to not smile. You can still smile with your eyes. And that is an overall breathing exercise that can help you anytime. As a licensed psychologist, when clients present different situations to me, I never know what they are going to present to me. I never know if they're going to say, I feel like harming myself, or I've been having all these thoughts of dying. I just never know what I'm going to be presented with. So there are many times when I have to drop my anchor, and I use my breathing as my anchor to ground and connect me in that moment. And I often will use the breathe and smile. And I'm not doing a full smile because what they're speaking about is probably not something that one would smile about. So, but I am dropping my anchor by inhaling. I'm centering myself when I come down, and I'm smiling internally, which is helping to ground and center me. The last breathing exercise I'm going to briefly share is the very important one deep breath. It's very similar to diaphragmatic breathing, but it's one deep breath. And I like it a lot because it actually helps us get in touch with our vagus nerve, which calms our body down. And it's interesting because when children are upset, they often give a big sigh. And I often encourage parents to maybe let that one ride, because sometimes we have to give a deep sigh, one deep breath, to clear our lungs in order to make room and space for whatever we're going through and to reset our breathing. So again, this seems weird, the one deep breath and that deep sigh. And I don't do it in session unless I'm doing it with a client because it might look weird. But the deep sighs, you're pushing out all of that air and you're making room to reset and recenter yourself and your breathing. So I actually encourage this to children and adolescents because they can be very overwhelmed with things that they have going on in their life. I encourage them, give me one good science session. We can do it together. Especially if they feel like, Dr. Adams, what are you talking about? I say, you know what, just give me one deep sigh and we do it together. So moving on, we're going to move on to our mantra and affirmation, but I do want to say regarding the breathing exercise, it doesn't matter which one you choose, just choose one that you feel could become your default. Choose one that you feel that you can easily and automatically call upon, because the rapid, shallow, anxiety-ridden breathing is often default and automatic when we're in the fear or flight or fight response. So we want to train ourselves to bring it down. And we can do that by learning one of these breathing exercises. So now let's move on to number 2, which is a mantra or affirmation. A mantra or affirmation can come from anywhere. It could come from the Bible or any wisdom teaching. It can come from inspirational music. It can come from a book. It can come from a movie. It can come from anything that inspires you, anything that encourages you, moves you, or uplifts you. I am a huge proponent and fan of affirmations. And for me, affirmations are realistic. I'm not talking about looking at yourself saying, oh my God, you are the most beautiful number 10 person 100 in the world. You might be, I don't know, but something more realistic is I am worthy. I deserve the best. I'm a hard worker. I deserve everything I get. Those are more realistic to me versus you're going to walk out the house and $1 million is going to be at your doorstep. Maybe I'm just not that person to say that. So again, when I'm talking about affirmations, I'm speaking of things that are realistic and very likely. So we are going to actually review some circumstances and different affirmations that can be helpful in those given circumstances. For instance, what about when things don't go as planned? Many of us struggle when life just doesn't go as planned. I imagine that many of us can relate to this past year during the pandemic. I know life did not go as planned for everyone. When you enter 2020 with all those hopes and dreams, and then, what happened, I can't imagine that was fun or easy. So I have a few positive affirmations or coping thoughts to consider for when things do not go as planned. For example, I have the power to pick myself up again. I have not run out of possibilities. I will keep going. I have a history of being a survivor. Setbacks can be overcome. Disruption is just a change of energy. It won't last forever. So again, these particular affirmations I've put under the scenario of the scenario for when things don't go as planned. Of course, you can use these affirmations for whatever. I've just kind of broken them down for you so that you can see how they can be used in everyday life. So another situation would be for when you feel fear come into your life. I actually like to use this acronym of fear, which is face everything and rise. When I'm feeling overcome by fear, that acronym comes to mind. Face everything and rise. And then the antithesis of that is of face everything and rise is to forget everything and run. That is the antithesis of it, which is humorous to me. So I like having both of them. So what am I going to do? Am I going to face everything and rise? Or am I going to fear everything and run? The choice is mine. I like to choose rise, but I can't say I've chosen it all times because I am human. Also, when it comes to fear, for me personally, Philippians 4:13 comes to mind. That's for me specifically. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That might not work for everyone, but it absolutely works for me. So let's move to another scenario. Let's look at for when you experience the imposter syndrome. Take a minute. Have you heard of the imposter syndrome? If you have heard of the imposter syndrome, and if you've experienced it, you are not alone. The imposter syndrome is when we feel that we're not good enough and we didn't deserve to be in a certain situation that we're in. So for anyone who's experienced the imposter syndrome, I'm going to tell you that means you're doing good. Because if you weren't climbing the ladder and doing well, you wouldn't feel like an imposter. You only feel like an imposter because you're doing so amazing, and you just don't feel like you deserve to be doing so amazing. Again, you are not alone. Many of us experience the imposter syndrome, especially in certain environments. Maybe there's an environment where people don't look like you, and you're the token, and you wonder, why me? I'm going to ask you to consider, why not you? You deserve it. You're worthy. And so some affirmations to consider is, I deserve this life. I deserve this life I've worked for. I believe in my abilities. Let's move on for when you're stressed. When you're stressed, it's going to be helpful to remind yourself that I let go of things that are not serving me, and I accept who I am today. It's okay to not be okay. That's a really good one. I actually had a client to present me with a card that said, it's okay to not be okay. That was very beautiful, and it was very needed. So I want to make sure I'm sharing that with everyone. It's okay to not be okay. What about when you're emotionally hurt? What do you say to yourself during those times? How about I express compassion for myself and love myself? I express compassion for myself. Even if you don't feel like you truly love yourself, will you try to express compassion for yourself? Will you try to express kindness to yourself? Will you try to let go of the attachment to people who have hurt you? Those are things to consider. And I recently did a post about attachment and how mothers often teach daughters how to love, rather advertently or inadvertently. We often don't teach our daughters how to let go of attachment. So it's important for us to learn as adults, if we didn't learn it as a child, but to learn as adults how to let go of attachments. You can love someone and not be with them. You can love people from afar. You do not have to spend time or be around people who mistreat or who hurt you. And so that is going to conclude our mantras and affirmations. And we're going to move right along to routine. It is very important to have a daily routine. Researchers and scientists have consistently shown that routines can play an important role in our mental health. And in this routine, I strongly encourage us to have a self-care routine. Your self-care could include reading, journaling, alone time, engaging in any pleasurable activities. You can zone out on Netflix, whatever you need to do that is self-care, that is pleasurable. It has nothing to do with anyone else. It's all about taking care of yourself. And it needs to be included in your daily routine. If you don't schedule it in, you know what will happen, right? Yes, it will fall by the wayside because you will have and you forget about yourself. I want you to prioritize yourself in your daily routine. I also like to encourage people to start your daily routine off by doing a simple task, making your bed. There's a whole book out there about make your bed and the importance of starting your day by making your bed. So that is a very small routine to include in your daily routine, make your bed. And once you get into a habit of doing certain things and practice certain things, you will realize it affects your overall mental health. At the end of the day, you've had a long day and you go to your room, you go to your bed. If it's all disheveled, that may remind you of all the stuff that went on and went wrong in your day. However, if you enter your room and there's a bed that's nice and neat, it may calm you and let you know that you have done something productive. You've made your bed. If you didn't do anything productive today, you made your bed. And that can be a part of your self-care. So again, in your daily routine, think about things that are pleasurable. Think about things that are important. Your exercise. If exercise is important to you, include it in your daily routine. Make it a habit. Research has shown that it takes on average about 67 days or so before something becomes a habit. I know we've been programmed to think that it was 21 days, but now research has shown there's an average of about 67 days of engaging in a behavior before it becomes a habit. So think about what behaviors you want to continue in your life and make those a habit by including them in your daily routine. So now we're going to move on to superfoods. I think it's very important for superfoods to be included in our mental health toolkit. People think about food and they think physical health. When I think about food, I think about mental, emotion, whole body. I think about the whole person. So for anyone who has worked with me, you know I love talking about superfoods. There are foods out there that are proven to release dopamine and serotonin. Those are those feel-good neurotransmitters. And so some of the foods I advocate and I encourage people regularly, and if you know me, I eat them myself. They are going to be spinach and kale, those dark green leafy vegetables. They are going to be nuts, such as cashews, almonds, and walnuts. Of course, people aren't going to like that I'm going to say this, but unsalted and raw. Yes, because if not, you're just adding calories and you're taking away the good stuff. So please, unsalted and raw. And berries. Your blackberries, blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries. Of course, there are more foods out there, but I like to keep it short and simple. The foods that I just mentioned are all easy to access at your grocery store. Sometimes you can see them at some of the smaller stores, but again, they are easy to access. That's why I include them, and that's why I mention them to my clients. But of course, there are several other superfoods out there, such as avocados, but for some people, it's like, avocados. So I'm going to stick with our spinach, kale, nuts, and berries. Can you commit to any of those? Include them in your mental health toolkit. I hope so. And last, but certainly not least, we're going to include connection in our mental health toolkit. Connection with ourselves, others, and the world. Connection with our values and connection with purpose. Once we are connected, we answer the question of why. Why am I here? What is this life all about? Once you found your purpose, you then know your why. And now we're going full circle to breathing. I said earlier, I wanted us to remember these words, connection. Breathing helps anchor, center, ground, and connect us. We need to be connected. We need to find our people. We need to find our tribe. I know that is not easy once we become an adult, but it needs to be prioritized. And your people do not have to be a group of 10. It could be 1 or 2 here or there. It could be a little group of 3 of you. It does not need to be a group, a big group. Take what I say with a grain of salt, because I'm not a big group type person. But I know some people feel real lonely when they think about how they're not included in big groups. I don't think you're missing out. Small groups are awesome. And it can be just one other person. And it could be one person, one-off people. They don't have to all come together, because we need to remember that one person cannot meet all of our needs. So if you have that one special friend and that one special person, you may feel like that person should, operative word, meet all of your needs, and you may have really high expectations of this person. You know, sometimes we forget friends, spouses, partners, they're human, and they're not going to meet all of our needs. So it is helpful to diversify your tribe. And if you're struggling with finding your confidant, definitely consider working with a licensed therapist. I have some people who've worked with me on and off for years. I've been in private practice for maybe over 12 years now. I have some people who can say they've worked with me on and off for over 10 years, and not because they have a major mental health crisis. It's because I provide a safe place. So if you are having a hard time finding a safe place with people in the world, consider a licensed therapist or a counselor, and they can help you create that safe space together. Also, when it comes to connection, it's very important for you to consider what's important in your life. So those are your values, what you want your life to be about. So not values that your parents have given to you, but your own chosen values, what you want your life to be about today and henceforth. That's going to help ground, connect, and center you. And whatever work or whatever you're doing in the community, in the world, it's going to be meaningful. And this is how an individual can live a happy life. So my definition of living a happy life is living a life that is full, meaningful, and satisfying. And this is going to conclude our topic today, our mental health toolkit. I hope you've been able to create your own toolkit based upon some of these tools I've shared. So in each number, I've tried to give you some examples. So I hope you've been able to take away some of those examples and include your own toolkit or create your own toolkit.
Wow, Dr. Chasity, I've got all my notes. I've got all my notes, great information, great stuff. Thank you so very much. Well, we need to take a quick break and we will come back and you can give us your last thoughts and how our viewers can contact you and how they can get your dynamic book, Reclaiming Your Best Self. So let's take that break.
The month of mental health awareness. 7 years ago, I was attacked and left for dead by my ex-husband. He tried to decapitate me. He cut my tongue in half. He stuck a knife down my throat 15 to 20 times, and he left me for dead. And because of that, I was diagnosed with depression. I was also diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety. Every day is a victory. Every day is a struggle. Every day that I am here, I keep pushing and I keep going. My life itself is a testimony.
Just want to remind you to tune in today at 7. Our special guest is Vicki Simmons, and she will be here sharing her testimony about mental health and domestic violence, and also her struggles with mental illness and her victories. So check us out at 7 p.m. Okay, Dr. Chasity, in your closing, can you please share with our listeners how they can contact you and how they can get your dynamic book, Reclaiming Your Best Self?
I may be reached on social media at Dr. Chasity Adams. That's for Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And that's at Dr. Chasity Adams, DrChasity Adams, all together now. My book, Reclaiming Your Best Self, The 4 Disciplines of Mindful Acceptance, is still available on Amazon.
Okay, that's awesome. And your last thoughts?
My last thoughts are, as you think about creating your mental health toolkit, please consider what might work for you. Let's not worry about what should be included in it. Let's look into workability. What do you think will work for your life? What makes sense in your space? So again, think about workability, what works for you. Have a wonderful day.
He's getting it out. Oh, God bless you all. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for all the remarks and comments. Dr. Adams, again, thank you. We will definitely have you back. You inspire us and you motivate us to keep it moving. So God bless you and thank you for being here. And
thank you, it's my pleasure.
Thank you. This has been your wake-up call.